Yo, what's going on, guys? Back with another video. This is actually a viewer suggestion or a viewer request. Today we're going to be talking about the defense queue, both how to set it up, what it is, kind of the technologies that you need for it, the best troop types, best heroes, and then also how to break through base defenses. And these two questions are asked very frequently, so let's get right into it. First of all, in order to unlock this defensive queue, you need to be base 25. So if you're below base 25, keep chugging away and get there when you can. It's not a race to base 25. It's a race to base 23 and a race to zone com completion. But base 25 is not a race, so take your time. Anyway, once you're level 25, you access these two technologies down here, Elite Military and Master City Defense. So Master City Defense, basically about halfway down, there's a tech called Stand United. When you unlock this tech, you gain a defensive queue. Now, a defensive queue also unlocks this defense queue research, but we'll get back to that in a second. So defense queue is actually a 5th APC. You cannot use it to attack players. It sits on your base basically forever, and it just helps you when players are attacking you. It's an extra APC to defend your base, hence the name defense queue. Basically, the only way to access this defense queue is through your garrison. So if you click on your garrison and you click on this new garrison button, you'll see kind of all of your defending troops, and you can even see the defense queue has this little symbol. You can't You can't equip parts on your other queues. You'll have to do that through the regular APC screen, but you can equip parts through the defense queue, and you can change your heroes, change your troops, stuff like that. So that kind of indicates that it's a defense queue. And here we basically see, this is my defense queue. So like I had said before, let's get back to the research. Pretty much once you complete Stand United, when you unlock the defensive queue, you also, the rest of the defenses are basically on the defense queue, so you can actually end up getting this pretty good research on there. And then there is this defense research queue. So in order to actually get heroes onto that defense queue, you have to unlock these researches. So the first one's hero appointment, and then you can put on 1 hero. Hero cooperation, you put on 2. Hero command, you can get all 3 heroes. And I do recommend maxing this out. You'll get a lot of troops. You'll get great troop might, troop defense, a bunch of stats in here. So it's very good to actually max this defense queue research when you can. So with that said, I want to talk about the setup of your defenses, not just including your defense queue, but there is a major difference between your normal APCs and the defense queue. So normally when you're attacking something, I'm probably not going to take any points of damage, so let's just put on like 10,000 troops and then send it to this zombie. Normally when you're attacking and your troops take damage, you can immediately refill your APCs. So let's see if I actually take some. Okay, cool. I actually took a bunch of hits. So you can basically immediately refill your APCs. You just click on the little APC button and you click automatic deployment, and it's going to fill up the APC with the dead troops. So I got like 400 deaths or something. 400 troops died. So if I click automatic deployment, it'll fill it right up. Right, it takes like about 1 second. With defense queue, you can't do that. So if they get attacked, you have to go into your base. You have to go to the garrison, click on this little cog, and then drag in the troops that are dead. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. Normally what I would say if you're trying to like min max is to actually put your garrison right next to your base, which I didn't have before just because I'm kind of a lazy human. So this is more optimal because basically whenever you go back into your base, whenever you enter your city, you basically go to this point right here, and then you can immediately just click the garrison. I might even put it in place of this parts factory actually. Yeah. So sometimes your base, how you set up your base is kind of important. Also, I have my hospitals right here, so I can immediately just heal. So that's another tip, I guess, for you guys who aren't aware, but that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is how to set up your defense and how to break through your defenses. So with the notion in mind that you can't refill your defense queue troops instantly, that kind of changes how you want to set up your defense queue. So normally, you would just think, oh, your defense queue should go first, right? Because it has the most troops, and kind of the point of it is for defense. So you can fit in parts just like you normally would. Obviously, I just have full Dreadnought parts because I have fighters in my lineup. A lot of people run fighters because fighters have really good recovery. So it kind of goes into the same point where you can't just refill the troops. So you want the APC to kind of refill the troops for you by recovering. With that said, fighters are not the only thing that you can have in your defense queue. It's the most common, but shooters or even some mixed APCs can actually be very good in your defense queue. Especially if you're very quick and you basically just enter your city, load up all those troops right away once you're getting hurt, and just go back to it. Normally in like in an LC battle or something like that, or a kill event, you don't really have time to go into your base and refill your troops. But let's say you're the Guardian and you have the Destroyer missile. All you're really doing is sitting there, refilling your troops, healing up, and you can do the same here. However, like I had said, normally you're not going to have time. So I've actually put my defense queue number 4. And I'll kind of get to why the order that I have it is in the order that I have it. So my first queue is my mixed APC, and it has Baneblade set. It's Gluttony, Tech Priestess, Hummingbird. It's a very consistent APC that beats most APCs most of the time. So obviously, it gets beat by some. Especially very strong vehicle APCs. But for the most part, it does very well. It has a lot of healing. So if I get attacked like 3 times in a row, this APC will kind of be able to stand 3 of those hits. They might get through it, but they'll still live, and they can help for the next 2 hits. So with that in mind, the main counter to this APC is kind of how you want to think about it, right? So what is going to counter your first slot? Okay, for me, it's vehicles. So a vehicle APC is going to get through my first queue, I guess. So then I put in shooters, because shooters are going to counter the vehicles, right? I have this M4A1 class, and it's a decent shooter class. It's not great, but it's okay. So if the vehicles get through, I basically attack them with shooters. And if they get through the shooters, it could mean that they're either a very strong fighter queue. For example, Tech Priestess, Canoness, Venom Walker can actually get through this first one. There's a lot of luck in this game in terms of battles. Skill percentages really, really influence battles. You can have a mirror matchup, and someone could win like 6 times out of 7, just based on luck. So anyway, if it's a fighter APC that gets through, then obviously you want to send your vehicles at it, right? So that's why I have my vehicles. If it's a vehicle APC that gets through, then obviously I want to have the second best thing besides shooters is vehicles, right? So I will probably take a lot of casualties with my third queue if it is vehicles, but likely it will stop there. I'll be able to beat it, and like I said, if it's fighters, I'll also be able to beat it, right? So that's kind of the thought process here. The fourth one is basically a full fighter APC, and it happens to be the defensive queue. So again, this is kind of only if they're basically shooters. So if they happen to somehow get through the rest of these, let's say it's just OP shooter class, it gets through everything, then my fighters will kind of take care of it. And if they get through everything, Likely they're the vehicle APC. So I really get hurt right now by Kamikaze, Heaven's Redemption, Death Rider, or that class is kind of, that class kills me the most, more or less. So if they get through everything else, it's likely going to be that class. So then I basically just have my vehicles to kind of, my strongest vehicle class, which is Vanguard, Countdown, Death Rider, to kind of clean it up and make sure that they can't get through. So that's kind of the strategy that you want to employ, and it should basically be the same for you guys. So like I said, this is my strongest APC, so it goes first. Kind of that's how you really should be doing it, unless you're sending this out all the time. But normally I'll just send my vehicles out because they're quicker, and speed is a very important thing in terms of definitely like kill events and launch center battles. Speed is very, very important. So I usually just send the vehicle APCs like this one and this one, for example. And I'll leave these kind of as defense, or if I'm really going after someone, I'll send these. I'll send this APC. So anyway, I put my strongest APC in there first. That's not vehicles. It also recovers a lot, like I had mentioned, and it's very consistent. It defeats a lot of APCs. Not everyone, but a good majority. And then you basically just want to look at the counters. So what counters it? Like I just said, it's vehicles normally, primarily vehicles. So I put in the shooters to counter the vehicles. If they get through again, either it's vehicles or it could be fighters. So then I put in the counter, kind of until you're at the end, right? If you don't necessarily have all of these APCs, like, you know, you don't have great shooter heroes or you don't have great vehicle heroes or something like that, you kind of have to do it based on mirror matchups. So like I had said, the second best defense against a vehicle APC is a vehicle APC, right? So if you know that you know they're coming in with shooters and you don't have fighters, send it. You have to basically defend with your shooters. Your vehicles are going to get wiped out for the most part. So you're going to want to send in your shooters to defend. That's kind of very basic general guidelines. Obviously, every scenario is not going to be exactly the same, but that's kind of basic guidelines, right? So that's the defense queue. That's how you kind of want to set up your defense queue. Like I said, it's obviously going to change based on who you have, you know, what kind of parts you have, even what level you are. But this is sort of how you want to do it. And even if you don't have this fifth APC, this defense queue, you can still order it the exact same way. So like I said, your research is very important. You have to be level 25. You want to go basically 50 or so %, unlock this Stand United, and then you'll gain your defensive queue. And it's very, very good. It obviously has more troops than every other queue. That's just based on that's if you get all the researches maxed. And it's very, very strong. So a lot of people won't run parts in there because they just don't have enough for 5 sets. But once you do, it's very nice to put parts on there and use your defensive queue as it should be used. Okay, so that's kind of the defending aspect of battles, right? The other aspect of battles is getting through someone's defense. So that can be much, much harder, especially if you're attacking, you know, someone very, very powerful. It can almost be impossible. But the way that you really need to do it is to just send. It's very risky, but if you send all of your APCs at one guy at the exact same time, so if they hit at the same exact time, it's almost going to be impossible for them to heal up all their troops and, put them all back in the lineups, right? That's kind of the only way you can do it against players that are much stronger than you or have a buff or are decently stronger than you. You really have to just send everything. You just have to go for broke. However, that basically just leaves you open to getting annihilated by other players, right? So if you're going to do something like that, if you're really trying to take someone down, it's like a one-on-one situation. You're the only person who can take him down or something like that. Sending all 4 of your APCs and then using your speed ups accordingly to basically you want to use your speed ups on your slowest APCs first, and then until everything kind of hits at the exact same time or within like 1 second of each other. that's kind of how, if you guys are familiar with some of the super max players, Suker's a very well known in the game, very wealthy, has an amazing base, pretty much everything maxed. He had President's Buff. They went against 66. Or sorry, he actually didn't have President's Buff, but they went against 66. And there's another player, Flying, who is also very well known and has a super max base. The only way that he was basically able to get through is by sending all 4 of his APCs at the exact same time. And you're able to actually get through the defense. Because otherwise they'll just basically just infinitely keep refilling their troops. Especially if they have like 100 million power, or like more than 100 million power, like 200 million or a billion or whatever the number goes up to. I think it's like 2,222,000,000, blah, 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 blah. So it's almost impossible to like get through all of their troops. Really, the only way you can do it is to send everything at once, bust through their defense. And yeah, that's one way. The other way is to send missiles. And sending missiles is honestly like the best thing you can do if you're not super maxed. So if you're kind of a smaller player, right, you're free to play or something like that, make sure that you always have your missiles like maxed out. You always have the maximum amount of missiles, and just fire off missiles, especially if you have like poison or freezing missiles or something like that. Sending those off is really good. So that's kind of how you break through. There's not too much else that you can do. The advice that I would give if you're, not like the strongest player in the game, which 99.99999% of players aren't, is you can reinforce your teammates. So if you're in an alliance and you have someone who's stronger than you, right, and they're attacking somebody, reinforce them is probably going to be better. So you can stay shielded and reinforce a teammate, and your teammate can go in and attack, right? So they can send all 4 APCs at once, knowing that you're reinforcing them. Even if someone attacks them, they're not going to get damaged, or potentially they won't get defeated all the way through because you're reinforcing them, right? So that's arguably the better thing that you can do if you're not super uber maxed, like I had said, is to help your teammates. Now, basically, this means that you want to get in good alliances. It's very beneficial to get in good alliances, and communicating and playing with your team is very important. Some players can be rogues. That's fine. Play the game how you want to play the game. I don't care. But that's kind of the advice that I would give if you're not, you're not the strongest player. It doesn't matter. You still have a role to play. Like I said, missiles are great. Very, very good, especially if you're kind of weak. And then if you're pretty strong, but you don't have like 4 good APCs or something, you just have 1 or 2, reinforce your teammates and have your teammates attack, the strong enemy. Or just keep chipping away at them, and then eventually they'll run out of troops, and yeah, you'll be good to go. If they're at like something like me, like 85 million, I don't actually have that many troops. 39 million troop power. I only have a couple million troops. So if people get through, if I go down to like 70 million power, I basically have no troops at that point. I can't fill up my APCs. And then I'm kind of done. So that is one way to do it, is to just keep chipping away, keep hammering away. You're going to take more losses, but sometimes you need to. Anyway, that's kind of defense. It's everything about defense in a quick nutshell, kind of at a high level. How to set up your things. If you guys have any questions, or you want to have me inspect your heroes and go through that kind of process, very happy to do so in the comments. Like always, a lot of you guys already know that, but for those of you who are too shy or whatever, just leave a comment. I'm happy to do it. Also, I do a stream every week with another Last Shelter YouTuber called Huddy. We have a stream called LSS Craft, and we're basically planning on helping players out, so they'll sort of show us their hero lineups, and we can kind of help and fix some APCs for players. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I'll leave, links to all of that stuff. And yeah, we can have some fun that way. Anyway, guys, that's about it. Again, this is a viewer request. So if you guys have any requests for videos, please just let me know. And I'll see if I can do it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have fun. Good luck, especially in your hero pools. Let me know who you get. I always find it awesome if you guys get great heroes. I love seeing it. So yeah. All right, guys. Take it easy. Peace.